Okay, hopefully this is recording now. We shall see. So German is an extremely complicated language. However, it's not as complicated as a lot of people claim. It's actually not too bad to learn. You just have to take the bull by the horns and get stuck into the grammar to have the best chance of being able to reliably and easily use it in conversation. A lot of people will advise you to use phrase books and things like that, rather superficial ways of learning the language. I personally believe that these are very damaging to your learning because they will give you a incorrect understanding of the building blocks of the language. The main problem is transliteration. When you learn a language using phrases, you're not getting the meaning of each part of speech within a sentence. Sometimes a phrase will be completely different. Need an example of this. When you take the phrasebook approach to learning a language, the main problem is transliteration. What language learners really need, I think, is to understand each part of speech within inside a sentence. The main problem with the phrasebook approach to learning a language is transliteration. When you rely on phrases that you find inside a phrasebook, you are not getting the exact meaning of each part of speech inside the sentence, so you may walk away understanding the gist of a sentence or understanding what a sentence means when it's transliterated into English, but not understanding the words inside that sentence. In fact, you may even get some incorrect, make some incorrect assumptions about what the words inside a sentence might mean. For example, in French, on y va, you could translate into English as let's go, or let's go there. The problem with this is that e in this sentence in French is a particle, and the word there in English is an adverb. So right away you have problems of non-comparable parts of speech, even inside a sentence which is only 3 words long. So circling back to German, I think the most important thing to do is really to just get stuck into the grammar right from day one. And this is going to involve a bit of pain and suffering. It's going to involve lots of hours of study, and that's fine. And once you're done, you're going to understand the language backwards and forwards, and you'll be able to use that knowledge for the damn it. So for German, the best thing to do is just to get stuck in. It's best to get a good grasp of the grammar, understand it thoroughly, and then once you understand its patterns, you can deploy it. Deploy it where? So circling back around to German, the best thing to do is just to grasp the nettle by the horns. Oh, fuck's sake. Circling back around to German, the best thing to do is just to get stuck in, understand the grammar, and then you have a good foundation for the rest of your learning. The good news, is although you have some work ahead of you to understand these foundations, it's actually not as complicated as it looks. It's not as bad as it looks. And what's my point? My point is that you'll be able to use this knowledge as you'll be able to identify patterns. You'll be able to identify patterns that will repeat themselves. The good thing about this approach is that although it is some work to do, and it is rather unrewarding until you're done, you won't be able to, you might spend 40 hours learning grammar, and after those 40 hours, you won't be able to say anything at all. You won't have learned any useful phrases, any sentences that you could that you could use to make conversation. However, you will be very familiar with a pattern. However, you will be very familiar with a pattern that will repeat itself throughout. However, you will have learned a pattern, a set of rules, and the good thing about that is that you will be able to use those rules in every instance. However, the good news is that you will now have a good understanding of certain sets of patterns that will repeat themselves throughout the language. This means that in every instance, as you learn German, when you encounter this pattern, you will be able to draw on that knowledge, and you'll know which case is most appropriate, which word ending is most appropriate. If you don't have this foundation, you will be forever lost. You will have, at best, an instinctive knowledge of the right answer without being able to figure it out for yourself. And at worst, you will never advance. You will always be limited by the phrases that you've learned, and you'll have no ability to go out and find the right answer for yourself. You'll essentially be reinventing the wheel every time you see a sentence you don't recognize that wasn't in the phrase book.